opportunities with Bray Wyatt, like I said, completely removed and not having that opportunity. How are they going to plug and play him now? Because I just don't know what they're going to be able to do with him.
What do you see the future for Sami Zayn? He beats Baron Corbin. And more importantly, what do you see the future for Baron Corbin? I know he's in this Money in the Bank ladder match coming up, but let's skip it to Sami Zayn. What do you see the future for Sami Zayn?
I think so. I don't want to lump them together because I want to answer them both, but I feel like Sami Zayn, as a technical standpoint, he's one of the best wrestlers on the roster. The problem is I just don't think that he has enough je ne sais quoi. I don't think he's got the it factor. I don't think he's got the killer instinct. I don't know what that key piece is missing, but I just don't think he's ever going to be world heavyweight champion material. I don't think he's ever going to be able to put himself consistently in that picture. So the future of Sami Zayn, I think he's going to be – his ceiling is probably a mid-level card guy, maybe he could get into some headlining WrestleMania conversations, but I just don't think. I think that's kind of out of his hands. I don't think that's above his ceiling.
I agree with you. Everything you said, Paul. I'm totally with you on Sami Zayn. Like you said, he's a hell of a talent. He doesn't have that spark somewhere. Like nothing's. You're not seeing that. Like you said, that it factor. He puts on great matches, but when it's the same thing, another technician in the ring. AJ Styles, I'll go to him every time. He's the phenomenal one, but he just has that charisma. Sami Zayn, he has some charisma, but I haven't seen that. Wow, this guy's going to be the face that runs the place, so to speak. What do you think, Jared?
Sami Zayn, I feel bad for him because I feel he should be on Raw. I feel he could have great stories right now with people like Samoa Joe, people like Finn Balor. He seems to be that type of size, that type of physique, but he's stuck on SmackDown, and AJ Styles is great, but I don't feel that he's going to be doing anything with AJ Styles. They think too much of him. I don't think they're going to be doing anything with Kevin Owens just for the fact that they've done so much with Kevin Owens and him in the past. So it kind of leaves him, like he was saying, he was taking on a Baron Corbin, and their styles don't really contrast too well. So who else is on the card of the SmackDown roster that Dolph Ziggler, but again, Dolph Ziggler keeps you at the mid-card level. Dolph Ziggler is the same as the Baron Corbin match, maybe even lower than that. Shinsuke Nakamura, maybe you could hype that up and make it bigger, but I feel that would be a good mid-card at like a SummerSlam where you have a really big main event, and then that's like a mid-card / main event match. But I just feel like with Jinder Mahal, Randy Orton, a lot of these big guys with the championship on the line, and again Baron Corbin as well. I don't feel that he's really in the championship title hunt, and I feel that there's not really with Kevin Owens as the U.S. champion, which is that mid card championship. I feel that he's got really not much going for him on SmackDown.
And on the opposite side of the fence with Baron Corbin, I believe he does have the X factor. I think he's very good on the mic. I think he's an underrated guy on the mic. I think this is a guy who could be a world champion. He seems to have that it factor. If he had more of the technical skills of a Sami Zayn, I think he'd be a world champion right now. But I think his future is very bright, especially with the Andre the Giant. That's supposed to be the wind under your shirt that's supposed to get you going. And I'm surprised that with some of these guys,
I don't think that's happened for anybody, though. I haven't seen that happen for anybody. It really didn't do much for Cesaro. It obviously didn't do anything for the Big Show. And I don't think it did.
Isn't that what it's supposed to be?
That's what it's supposed to.
Why else is it a thing? It just seems like fluff at the WrestleMania now. You just try to get everyone in there and shove everyone on the roster who didn't make it so you could say, hey, he was on WrestleMania too.
Cool.
And that to me is disappointing. But I think Baron Corbin's future is very bright. What are you going to do with him? When is going to be the right time to pull the trigger? Could it be at this 5-way and throw him against Brock Lesnar? I don't know. I don't think so. I think there's the Finn Balor, Paul Heyman thing. I think Finn Balor is that's to me my favorite to win the Fatal 5-way. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I just don't think now's the time for Baron Corbin. Yeah. I think he's a championship guy.
Future champion.
I don't know why they couldn't have pulled the trigger on him over Jinder Mahal. Again, you said perfectly, didn't even know it earlier in this show. You said it's about time. And now every single thing that we keep talking about and every wrestler and superstar that we keep mentioning, I keep saying, it's about time that he became champion. It's about time you pulled the trigger on this guy. And that's Baron Corbin's one of those guys. You want a new champion. You want to say it's about time for somebody. That's one right there. I just feel that Jinder Mahal got this just crazy push while people like Sami Zayn, but again, forget him because he doesn't look really like a heavyweight champion, but the people who look like heavyweight champions, the Baron Corbins, the Luke Harpers, they're sitting there waiting for their turn. They've never even been in a main event. They've been on a main event on SmackDown, but they've never been in a pay-per-view main event. And you put this guy in his very first pay-per-view main event, and he wins right away.
Speaking, continuing on the Baron Corbin train here. Honestly, he's underrated on the mic. I think he does a hell of a job. I don't know if you guys caught it on SmackDown this week. His mic wasn't working, and he still plays it off like nothing happened. And it was great. I think he's a hell of a heel. I hope he never turns face because he's just one of those guys. Like he's just a career heel. I think he's a hell of a heel, and he has that look. I think he needs to work a little bit more on his in ring. I think the mic skills are there. I do see him being a very good champion. I would project him to be a champion. I would give it in the next 12 to 18 months, guaranteed.
Now,
I don't think that he could ever be a face, though.
No, not a chance. Not a chance.
I think there's a negative chance of that.
Now, speaking of SmackDown, how do you guys like the new commercial break, but the action continuing on SmackDown?
They're doing it like it's like NASCAR. And that NASCAR does that. We're gonna do a side by side. So we're gonna have different advertisement with the race. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. I mean, it's like it's a cheesy gimmick. Just do your commercials and get it done. I'm not watching it anyways. I'm fast forwarding it because it's not like you're never gonna. I know for a fact they're not gonna do a finish. You're not gonna see a 3 count or a disqualification during that. I can guarantee that's not ever gonna happen.
You feel that they should wait? I remember in the past, and I've gone to the live events before, where let's say I don't know, Kevin Owens' music would hit. Kevin Owens would come out, his music would hit. And then his music would actually shut off in the live event when they go to commercial, and we kind of see a lot of the commercials or a black. We might see one of the WWE sold commercials,
absolutely.
And then we'd see a black screen, and then we'd see that bumper, the WWE commercial again to come back to the program. And that's here in the radio world. It's similar. You have a bumper to leave and a bumper to enter. So they have these WWE commercials. It might be the Slam of the Week or something, and you'd see that commercial, and then they'd start his music back up again as if that music was playing the entire
whole
commercial
break.
Which
it's not. We knew that.
Yeah, so when they come, and then you'd have the match. So he'd come out, you'd have the Divas, or you have whoever come out, and they would then go to commercial, and then they would stand in the ring and wait until they came back. And that way you saw the whole match in full screen. I don't know if that's really better. Like I saw it for the first time this week. I know it's a few weeks old, but for the first time I saw it this week, and I said, they're actually just going to actually have the regular match. It wasn't just like a part of the match. It wasn't they cut the commercial. Because, again, they've had parts where they cut the commercial and then we just missed that part of the match. It didn't really mean anything. But this time they're showing us the whole match. The problem is, though, it looked like a lot of important parts of the match. It's weird to be seeing actual important parts. And it felt like you were watching it on mute because you would see they do like a 2 count and you'd see the crowd going.
Then you got the commercial. The commercial's over it.
And you're like, this would be a time where JBL would be going, oh, it's only 2. Oh, I thought that was 3.
Yeah.
So you're seeing finishes. I know you're not going to see a finish, but you're seeing mock finishes, and you're seeing things where the crowd's reacting in the background and they're showing faces I can't believe that you called a DQ on me. You're seeing wrestlers get shooed away to the back and told they're not allowed to be at ringside anymore. And you're I need the commentary to go with this. So I feel
that's my problem. That's my problem, guys, is because watching because first off, the commercials aren't going to be muted because then what's going to be the point of the commercial? So you can't hear what's going on with the wrestling. And right to your point, Jared, the whole time I'm kind of looking they can't possibly finish a match on a commercial. But every single time, I thought there was multiple times where I thought that was going to happen because I'm trying to pay attention to that small screen in the top left corner. I'm like, and I feel like I'm missing key parts of the match. So I would rather everyone understands commercials have to happen, so just let the commercials happen. And for the guys like some of us that kind of fast forwarded after the fact,
DVR.
Some people watched it live. Yeah, DVR. So I'm one of the ones who tries to wait after, so I can fast forward and I can get through it quicker. I can get through the commercials so I can watch the actual wrestling. But we all understand there's commercials. Just get through the commercials. I don't like trying to dance halfway. Put your toe in the water, and then we miss parts of the match. If there's anything of highlight, they usually, once you're coming back, they give you the quick 5-second. During the break, you missed this. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, this is why he took over the match or something. Yeah,
right.
That's fine. So, I like that. I'm good. I'm with you on that.
I feel like that's better. And some of the adaptations I kind of like. Some of the new things they try to do in this instance. And while it's a couple weeks old, I don't like it. Not a huge fan.
To move to Raw, but really not much happened this week on Raw that we need to really get great into. But a quick question I have for you guys, and I felt this would have been a great go-home Raw to the pay-per-view Extreme Rules this Sunday, except for it's not this Sunday. But it felt like it could have been, and it felt like Raw is just one too many Raws. That's what I guess I feel like. There's just one too many Raws. So what do you guys think would be a solution to this? Do you think they should have more pay-per-views so that we actually have shorter gaps between pay-per-views?
Honestly, at this point, I mean, I know a lot of casual fans. I know a lot of them do not like having pay-per-views so close. I mean, I grew up, you know, I mean, we all did, where it was like you get the one pay-per-view a month or every 5 or 6 weeks. You know, that's usually how it happens.
But with the brands, with the brands extension, the way that it's going now, I just feel like we're having like 1 or 2 too many SmackDowns, too many Raws. Like I feel like this Raw this week was a perfect final Raw before Extreme Rules. You had a lot of the good matchups. You had like Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt. You had a great main event with Samoa Joe and Bray. You had that tag team match that they always put right before a pay-per-view, except for now we have to do that again next week.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The way I look at it, every 2 weeks, that's fine. But I mean, you can't have, okay, we had Backlash and then
every 2 weeks. Well, the problem with saying every 2 weeks, it's not every 2 weeks because there's Raw and SmackDown have their own. Well, Raw and SmackDown have their own pay-per-views. So I'm saying between Raw pay-per-view and Raw pay-per-view,
it's too many
pay-per-views.
Too many pay-per-views. That's the way I look at it. There's too many pay-per-views.
I disagree. Jarod, I'm going to go with you. I think with the brand extension, I think this is a unique opportunity to have more pay-per-views because you have the Raw exclusive pay-per-views, you got the SmackDown exclusive pay-per-views. I think with that, you can have, you know, I don't want to put like a label on it for amount of time, but I think you could do more pay-per-views because I agree, Jarod. When I was watching it this week, I was like, it almost felt like I was getting amped up for Extreme Rules, and I'm like, wait a second, it's not for another week. So yes, I feel like there's just too much Raw. And then what's the solution to this problem outside of not extending and having more pay-per-views? What do you do? Do a throwback because you don't really know what to do with the people in the meantime except, you know, regurgitating the same matches? You can't just show
you just got to stretch it out.
The WWE Network is for it. So it's a unique problem that they have. I don't know how they fix that.
Now, back in the day, they don't obviously with television, they have more set structure now than they did in, let's say, the 80s. But there was a time in the 80s where they kind of did this. There were pay-per-views, if you are familiar, they weren't always on Sundays. They were sometimes, I think once or twice on a Monday. I think WrestleMania, there was one of them on a Monday. What if, let's say these Raw and SmackDown exclusive pay-per-views, or let's just stick with Raw for the time being. Next week we get rid of Raw and that be the pay-per-view. So we get rid of a Raw and then we're replacing it with the event. And you know what? Sounds kind of crazy here. But USA Network's not going to go for the removal of a Raw.
No way.
We make it on WWE Network and the USA Network. I don't think that you're going to cancel the WWE Network if a few of the pay-per-views are not on there anymore. I think the price is just so low that even if there was really no live content, I still feel so many people are going to subscribe to the network and, more importantly, not cancel their already existing network as long as you have a little bit of something on there, maybe like an exclusive documentary or something.
That would work.
Jarod,
that would work.
I have been waiting for you to say this because you know what? I feel like this is perfect. Just compare it to the NFL, the Thursday night football games that are on CBS. Not all of them are on CBS, but a select few are. The NFL Sunday ticket subscription numbers haven't gone down because they've given a couple teasers to some of the fans who don't have the full package. I think that's a perfect example. And we talked about that for WrestleMania in terms of what they showed on the USA Today network and simulcasted and what they didn't, which seemed odd. It seemed weird that they would, do – I forgot what's the one thing you're going to remember, Jarod, or maybe you won't because you weren't there, or you were there so you didn't get to see it on TV. But I know there were some of the matches that they didn't show on the USA Today network that you were like, oh, that's a little odd. So I don't know how they're going to fix it, but I think that would be a really unique way to do it. You'd eliminate the extra Raw problem, plus you get the pay-per-view either a little sooner or a little after, and I think that would be a unique way to do it.
I think the USA Network ratings would go up because of the fact that it's a pay-per-view versus a traditional Raw. You'd get rid of now, and you're not removing a show on the calendar because Sunday night, let's say Extreme Rules, for example, that Sunday night could just be a house show somewhere. Because when they're not having pay-per-views, they are still, if you're familiar, they're still performing on Sundays somewhere. So that would just be a house show. Yep. So you're turning that Raw into a pay-per-view. You're still keeping the schedule because every single Monday you have programming on the USA Network. You're not removing programming. The only thing is now you have additional programming